Hey guys, it's Emily and welcome to a new weekly reading vlog. So this week I am participating in Tistheseasonathon hosted by Heather over at Bokables as well as Amy from A Court of Crowns and Quills. I am so excited to be participating in this readathon that is all about celebrating the holidays. You guys know how much I love Christmas and everything, so I'm very excited to be reading holiday books this week. So basically there are two ways that you can go about participating in this readathon. There are the reading prompts and there's a bingo board. Personally, I have decided to give myself a little bit of a challenge and go with the bingo boards. There are a lot of reading prompts on there, but also some Christmassy activities that I cannot wait to participate in. So I don't have a planned TBR for this. Obviously I have picked books already that could cover most of the prompts, but I kind of wanted to just go about my week and go with the flow basically. So I'm going to be mood reading for the week, but there is one book for sure that I will be reading this week, and that is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is going to be my first pick for this readathon. It is also the group book, so I am excited to be reading it. This is Christina Lauren's most recent release, and I believe this is like a Groundhog Day situation where the main character relives the same day over and over again. So I'm excited to see what I think about this one. And I mean, the cover is super festive and Christmassy. So this covers quite a few challenges on the bingo board. So it counts for read a holiday themed book, read the group book, a book with red or green on the cover because obviously it has both colors, read a book with a holiday word in the title, holidays, so holiday. Book with family or found family because the main character is going to a cabin with her family, I believe. Buddy read a book with someone because I'm technically reading it with the entire group because this is a group book, so I'm gonna count it for the buddy read. Books with lights on the cover. I don't know if you can really tell, but there are like Christmas lights all over. Read your favorite genre because this is a romance and romance is my favorite genre. Read a book with romance in it. Obviously this is a romance. Read a cozy read. I'm guessing this is going to be very cozy, and I guess that's it. So covers like most of the bingo board, which I'm very happy about. And yeah, this is going to be my first read. I really want to get this one out of the way, I guess, because it covers the most challenges, and then after that I'll be able to read stuff that is maybe specific to one challenge, or just like go with the flow and read whatever the hell I want. So today is Monday, is the first day of the readathon, and I am filming in front of my Christmas tree. I really wanted to get my intro out of the way because I am about to start my work day. Last week was pretty busy with work, and that's why I didn't film the last vlog for Believeathon. Just mental health wise, it just wasn't great. I was very stressed because of Black Friday and stuff, but this week should be busy but less stressful. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get a lot more reading done than I did last week, because last week I did not read a single book. I did finish something during the weekend, but overall not a lot of reading was done. So I'm really hoping that this week will be different. So yeah, now I guess I'm going to get to work, and after work we can start reading our book.
Let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time.
Okay, so it's now much later. It's about 9 p.m. and I've had quite the day. Honestly, I wanted to pick up In a Holidays during my lunch break, and my dog had a seizure, and so that kind of like switched up my entire day, because obviously like I wanted to be there for her. I wanted to make sure that she was okay. So like in the afternoon after she had the seizure, she typically like to walks around the house, and she goes everywhere. It's like she's lost all sense of direction and she's trying to find something. I don't really know. She just likes to walk a lot, and she's pretty much like not tired. Like she cannot go down and sleep like she would typically do on an afternoon. So I ended up working upstairs in my kitchen, and I was distracted all afternoon because I wanted to keep an eye on the dog. And obviously like I didn't get any reading done during my lunch break because I had to like make sure that she was okay and everything, and it was pretty stressful. But then after dinner I started reading In a Holidays, and I'm having such a great time with this. So far I'm loving it. I've laughed out loud several times. It is such a fun story. I'm having such a great time. I was kind of hesitant to pick this up, to be honest, because I haven't had the best of luck with Christina Lauren's most recent releases. I have either been not interested in the new books that they've been putting out into the world, or I have been kind of disappointed by them. So as much as I love their work, I'm always a little bit hesitant now to dive into it, but I'm having such a blast so far. Though I will be honest, I am not rooting for the romance in this one, which is kind of odd because I'm typically all here for Christina Lauren's like romances, but this one is just not my cup of tea. Basically we have two brothers, and our main character is really attracted to one brother and she really wants to end up with him, but I'm rooting for the other brother, which is really odd for me to say because when there's a love triangle involved, I typically root for the like main character's love interest, so the one that the main character actually wants to end up with, never for the like other person. And it's kind of a rare position that I'm in right now. But other than that, I'm having a great time. It's a lot of fun. I love reading about all of the different character dynamics and just like the way all of these characters interact with one another and just like the fun Christmassy vibes. I was reading this and I had the urge to make myself a cup of hot chocolate and like just drink a cup of hot cocoa while I was reading it and just get cozy, and that's exactly what I did, and I'm having a great time. Like I feel like this is going to be something I'm really going to enjoy. I really hope that I won't be disappointed by the second half of the book. So hopefully I will continue to enjoy this. But right now I think as it's 9 p.m. I'm going to go take a shower and then get to bed, and I think I could probably get to like page 200, maybe even past that, because I'm reading this super quickly. I cannot put this down. Like this is the type of book where I'm like, oh, I need to find out what happens next. Hey guys, so welcome to day 2 of Tistheseasonathon. So yesterday I finished reading Holidays by Christina Lauren. So I wasn't planning on finishing this book. I feel like you can see a big glare in my glasses, so I'll just take them off. But I wasn't planning on finishing this book last night. I think I wanted to make it to page like 200 or something like that. But as I was reading, I just couldn't put it down. And next thing I know, it was like 11 p.m. and I was like, I only have 50 pages left, so might as well just finish the book. And so I did. I went to bed a little bit later than I typically do on a weeknight, but it was worth it because I finished the book. Can you hear that background noise? I'm really sorry. They've been doing construction around my house for some reason this afternoon. Don't know. Anyway, so I have a weird relationship with this book because as much as I loved it, I think I mentioned yesterday, I had so much fun reading it and I was laughing out loud and I loved the Christmas vibes and it was a great time, but I also couldn't stand the romance. So I think I'm going to give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and hear me out. So the romance aspect was kind of disappointing for me, and that's sad because, okay, I'm sure you can hear that, I'm really sorry. But the romance aspect was really disappointing, and as you may imagine from my previous update, the romance didn't go the way that I had hoped it would. But I think it's mostly because I didn't like this trope that the authors used. Basically, we have two brothers, and it kind of reminded me of The Summer I Turned Pretty and The Kissing Booth, both of which I did not like. So I guess that can explain why I didn't like the romance in this one as much. I'll be honest, I thought both love interests were kind of bland. I don't know, like the guy that I wanted her to end up with ended up being completely like, I guess, inexistent in the book, which didn't make sense to me because the other brother is supposedly her best friend. Like they're childhood best friends, and they had next to zero interaction in the book. And in the beginning it made sense because they had like this weird interaction in one of the time loops that she was in, and so she was trying to stay away from him because of that, because she didn't want to have to, I guess, address this. But then the more it went on, the more I thought it was so stupid. I was like, this is your best friend and you're not even like talking to him. It just didn't make sense to me. I feel like they added the other brother only for drama. Like this should have been just a friends to lovers romance, like a childhood best friends to lovers, and like instead they added like a brother that was almost like I mentioned before, inexistent, like created some drama that was so unnecessary. So yeah, didn't really vibe with that. I feel like up to page 200, I was having a great time, but then it kind of went downhill from there. I didn't hate the ending, but the epilogue made me want to screech my eyes out. I don't know what it is with Christina Lauren, but lately, at least in their most recent releases, they always add this epilogue that's completely unnecessary. Personally, it's something that I really hate because they always end up with like characters that are getting married or that are pregnant or whatever, and I'm like, we don't need that to have a happily ever after. You know what I mean? Not everyone wants to get married. Not everyone wants to have a baby, and so it always pisses me off when one or the other show up in this book. I hated that epilogue. I would have ended the book like at the last chapter. I wouldn't have added the epilogue. It was not necessary. Hated it. Didn't have a great time reading that. But other than that, it's a fun book. So overall, I would still recommend it, but I'd say if the two brothers love triangle situation is not something that you typically enjoy, probably you're not gonna like this. But it's still a fun read. Like I said, I had such a great time. I couldn't put the book down. I read it in one sitting, which hasn't happened in ages. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with this book, and it's hard for me to say I wouldn't recommend it because I can see why people would love it, but I can also see why people would hate it. So I don't really know where I stand with this, but a 3.5 sounds accurate. I mean, I was going to give it a 4, but like I said, the ending kind of disappointing, and then the epilogue just like made me want to throw up. So lowered that to a 3.5. I still enjoyed it, but I didn't love it as much as I hoped I would, which is kind of weird because I have such fond memories of reading this since I kept laughing and just smiling while reading it. But now that means that we have completed a big bunch of our bingo board. I'll put a picture here with the prompts that I have completed. And now it's time for us to pick my next read. So I'm currently in the middle of my workday, so I'm not going to start reading like right away, but I know I will want to start reading something new tonight. So I think I'm going to go with The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. And I don't even know why I'm picking this up, because I mean, yes, I do want to read it, and it's something that I've been wanting to read for 2 years now, but it was not a priority for this week. It was something that I kept on the back burner, but at the same time, I'm in the mood for it now. I guess it's because I had such a weird experience with the Kristen Ellery romance that I kind of want to take a mini break from like romance books. I know this one includes a romance if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think it's a romance book per se. So let's see which prompt this covers. So read a book you meant to read this year but didn't. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I meant to read this last year. So like 12 months ago and I didn't. So I think it still counts. The goal of this prompt is to read something that you meant to read before but didn't. So I think this counts. Obviously like the other prompts that in a holidays covers, like red or green on the cover, holiday book, even like the holiday word in the title because Holly. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that this covers. And read a book that someone else recommends, because I know Emma Books really loved it, and Books with Chloe also really loves this book. So I guess this covers a lot of prompts. Well, some of the prompts at the very least. Now I'm going to get back to work because I took a mini break to film this update, but later on tonight we'll start reading this. I might pick up the audiobook as well and read along with my physical copy. I don't know. I don't know if I'll manage to read this in one day. I don't think so. I think yesterday was just like a fluke. Time for the advent calendar. So it's the first day of December, so that means that we will be opening little boxes in this Lent advent calendar for the next 24 days, which I'm very excited about. So the first is here. So we have a mini chocolate ball. Exciting. So good. Hey guys, so today is Wednesday and I'll make this update quick because my camera battery is about to die. But I wanted to update you guys on The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand because I did start reading it last night. I know I didn't really vlog after my update, but I started reading the book and I am currently on page 36, and so far I'm not too impressed. But I think one of the reasons why I'm not vibing with it so far is because the main character is very unlikable, and it makes sense given the premise. So I don't know if I told you guys what this book is about, but this is a Christmas Carol retelling in which we're following Holly, and Holly is a bad person. And so on Christmas Eve, she gets visited by the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And Holly thinks this is all a dream, so she doesn't change her ways after she gets visited by the ghosts. And so she dies. But instead of like going on and just like moving on to whatever is next after death, she gets recruited to be part of Project Scrooge, and Holly herself will become the ghost of Christmas past. So obviously, since Holly is a bad person, she's an unlikable character, and I think that's why so far I haven't been vibing with this book. But I think the premise is interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I really hope that I will warm up to Holly though, because for me, the main character, like the narrator of the story, has to be someone that I can like somewhat understand, or just someone that I will enjoy reading from. And so far, I just think that she's very bratty and bitchy, and I don't know, she's very like entitled. So I really hope that we'll see some character development, because otherwise I'm not gonna have a great time. But I don't know how much reading I'll actually be able to get done tonight, because I am going to be editing a video that I filmed today. So I guess we'll see how much reading I actually get done and how much vlogging I actually manage to get done as well. Because I mean, so far this week, I feel like I haven't been on my A game, but that's because I've been busy with work and then just like life in general. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to catch up on this readathon a little bit. I'm not behind because I already have the like bingo board pretty much covered. Well, we're really far into it given the fact that our first book covered a lot of ground, but I'm really hoping that we'll manage to cover as much ground as possible, I guess, over the course of the readathon. So right now I'm gonna go edit, and so tonight I can maybe finish that early, and then after that I could just like read or do some other fun Christmassy activities. I don't think it's going to be a long video to edit, but I do really want to have it up tomorrow, so I want to finish that tonight. But yeah, I think right now I'm gonna go charge my camera battery, get some editing done, and then we'll see where it goes. So today's Friday, it's 4:15 p.m. I just logged off work and I didn't really update you guys yesterday, and that's simply because I was not really in a great mood. I don't know why, I just felt very grumpy and just not in the best mood, so I decided just to not vlog. But I did make some reading progress with The Afterlife of Holly Chase, and I am currently on page 210. So in the last, I guess 50 pages, maybe more, our main character has gotten herself into a romance. And to be honest, I do not care for it. I don't really know what it is, but I am just not interested. And usually I live for romances, but this one is just not interesting to me. The main reason why I'm reading this book is because of the Project Scrooge aspect. And because of the romance, our main character is kind of not as into her work, I guess. She's like not doing her job properly because of that romance, because it is prominent in the book, and it just makes it so that she doesn't spend as much time doing her job, and she doesn't do her job the way that she's supposed to, which I understand how this romance is important to the story because it will have an impact later on. Like I said, our main character has not been doing her job properly because of that, and obviously this is going to have an impact on the outcome of the story, but I'm just not interested in like reading about it. So I'm like, can we skip over that part and just like go somewhere else because I don't care about it? Honestly, the aspect that I prefer about this book is the whole Project Scrooge aspect of it. I loved the premise and like the concept of it. I just am so interested in seeing how this is going to play out. I love the concept of recreating A Christmas Carol every year, and like our main character is a part of that, and that's the part that I enjoy reading about. But the romance aspect of it, I'm just like not like really into. I don't care at all. I still don't love our main character Holly, but I have kind of warmed up to her, so I don't hate her as much as I did when I first started. I still don't love her, and she's not a main character that I can see myself rooting for, but at the same time I understand her, I guess, motivations and just her personality a little bit better. It's not a bad book. I just don't foresee this being like something I will absolutely fall in love with and this being a favorite, but I am enjoying it. I'm hoping I can finish this ideally tonight, but at the latest, I guess, I can finish this like tomorrow. I would ideally like to read this and maybe something else by the end of this readathon. There's only 3 days left if you count today as well. So I really need to like pick up the speed. Let's go bake a dessert, shall we? It's 7:30 and I've made quite a bit of progress with the Afterlife of Holly Chase. I have about 120 pages left to read, so I think I can totally finish that tonight. But right now I'm about to go outside because apparently the city is throwing like this fireworks show. They've chosen like strategic points in the city so that like everyone can see them from their backyards and stuff like that. So my mom and I are about to go outside and check that out. It's been like 25 minutes and I am back from the fireworks thing. It was a little bit underwhelming as we couldn't really see the fireworks from our street, but we could still see them, but not super clearly, which was kind of sad. But now let's get back into our book. Okay, it is nearly 10 p.m. and I have finished The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. So I'm conflicted over this book because I did enjoy it. I think overall it was well executed. I think the ending was really nicely wrapped up. I will be honest, I kind of saw it coming. I know a lot of people were, in the reviews that I read, a lot of people were surprised by the ending and weren't expecting the author to go there. But quite frankly, I kind of saw it coming. Didn't see it coming the way that it happened, but it was like one of my wildest theories while I was reading. I was like, hey, what if this happens and this is what happened? So I wasn't that taken aback when it actually happened, but I feel like the ride wasn't as fun as I was hoping it would be. Like I've mentioned before, what was most interesting to me was the Project Scrooge aspect of it, and even though like it was central to the plot and this is what the story is about, I feel like the romance kind of overtook the plot at some point and I just wasn't interested in that. Overall, it's a great story, I think, but yeah, I don't really know how to feel about this because I didn't have the greatest time while reading it, but I did enjoy the experience in the end and I'm glad that I finally got around to reading it. So I think I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It felt like a 3, but then I was really happy with the way things ended and everything, and there's a lot that I did enjoy about this book. I didn't love them in character, but I did like the other characters, especially the ones that worked at Project Scrooge. I thought they were really interesting. Anyway, now it's time to update you guys on the bingo board, I guess, because I did complete a bunch more challenges with that book, but also like throughout the readathon. So now we have read a book in front of the fire because I showed you earlier You can still see it. My fireplace is on. I baked, even though it was not necessarily my favorite holiday treat or whatever. We did bake a cake. I read a book that I meant to read last year but didn't. Technically it would have been like the challenge is to read a book that you meant to read this year but didn't, but I'm gonna use this one since I meant to read it last year and didn't. I feel like it's even better. Then read a book that someone else recommends, because I bought this and like wanted to read this because of Emma and Chloe. And then I think that's it. But now it's time for me to pick my next read. And basically, if I want to do a bingo, there's a couple of ways that I can go about it, as you can tell by the board. So the first one would be to make a gingerbread house. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest gingerbread house fan. Watch a holiday movie, which I'm totally going to do this weekend. Not now, but we're totally gonna make that happen at least once this weekend. So we might watch more than one movie, but I plan on watching something. I just don't know what exactly. I haven't quite decided yet. Read a short book, 250 pages or less. For that, I thought I could read Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan, but I do really want to watch the Dash and Lily series on Netflix before I dive into the third book in the series, so I would have to binge the entire series in order to start this, which is not completely off limits. That's totally an option, but I don't know if that's what I'm in the mood for right now, so we'll see tomorrow morning if I decide to pick this one up, but that's an option. And the last line is read a new to you author, and for that I had picked Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd. I've never read anything by this author, and it could also count for the read a book that you received as a gift, the book with snow on the cover, because it does have snowflakes on it. So that is also an option. I don't know if I'm in the mood for a romance. I feel like the last two that I've read were kind of disappointing, so I kind of don't want to set myself up for failure again. Hi guys. Wow, okay, I just realized that there's a big glare in my glasses, so I'll remove them. But it's Saturday and it's 10 p.m. and today has gone very differently from what I had initially planned. So as I mentioned, it's really late at night, it's 10 p.m. and I haven't read a single page today, which not great when you're doing a readathon. But in my defense, today I've been working on YouTube stuff. It's been like a YouTube day, and typically Saturdays are my YouTube days. This is where I film and edit and prepare my upload for the next day and just like get a lot of video planning done, and this is pretty much what I did today. I wasn't expecting it to take all day, but I mean, it happens. To be honest, I have also been rewatching Friends because they announced recently that they will be removing the show from the platform on December 31st? Yeah, December 31st. And so I decided that I wanted to rewatch it one last time before I can't anymore. Friends is one of my favorite TV shows, so while I was like planning video content and everything, I was also watching Friends in the background, so that might have like hindered my productivity a little bit, and that might be why I decided to like dedicate my entire day to YouTube instead and like not necessarily get any reading done. But now it's 10 p.m. and I think I'm ready to get some reading done. I don't know if I'll get a lot of reading done, but I have picked my next read, and for me that's going to be Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd. So I decided to go with my highest rated read because I couldn't really choose between all of the options that I had, and I feel like I haven't had a 5-star read in a while, and so I thought, why not choose the one that has the highest rating on Goodreads and hope for the best? So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be reading Faking Under the Mistletoe. This is perfect because this is actually the mid-20s book club pick for the month of December, so I can also participate in that. This is a book club hosted by Clara over at Notre Dame Reader. I will leave the link to her YouTube channel down below, but this is a pick for December and I'm very excited because this was on my TBR anyway, so this just falls at the perfect time. But it's time for me to read this, and I think that might be the last book that I'll read for this readathon, unless I manage to finish this and then also read another book tomorrow, which would be very surprising, but we'll see. And now I'm gonna go take a shower and just go to bed and get started on this. I don't think I'll get a lot of reading done before I go to bed, but I would like to at least read the first chapter, maybe even more, and we'll see where that leads us. Hey guys, so today is Sunday, it's the last day of the readathon, and we officially have our first bingo. So this morning I watched Elf, which means that I have watched a holiday movie, and so we have our first bingo. I am really happy, and I think today we can also get a second one because I am currently reading Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd, and this would count for the new to you author, so I would get a second bingo once I finish this book. So as you guys know, I started reading this last night, and I was initially just going to read maybe like 20 to 50 pages and just go to bed because I typically go to bed at about 11 p.m. and so I thought like maybe I would read 50 pages at most. I ended up staying up until like 1 a.m. to read this book. I am currently on page 146, so I'm about halfway through, and this book has taken me completely by surprise. So in this book we're following our main character Olivia, who works at this PR firm in New York City, and Olivia is the office's little Santa helper. So she has planned all of these Christmas based activities for her office, and they're taking place all throughout the month of December. Now during one of those activities, her boss's ex-girlfriend shows up with her new boyfriend, and she sees that her boss is super sad and heartbroken about it. So in order to make the ex-girlfriend jealous, she kisses her boss and pretends to be his girlfriend. Obviously drama ensues, and this is what the story follows. Now I am really enjoying this book. Like obviously I flew through the first half of it, and I am probably going to finish this afternoon. Like I am having such a blast reading it. But there is one thing about this book that I have to talk about, and that is the relationship between our main character and her boss. That relationship is just so inappropriate and ridiculous and just does not make sense to me. If you take out the fake dating aspect of it, like the work relationship just doesn't make sense to me because the main character talks to her boss in a way that just doesn't compute. Like she's an intern, she's basically like under him in the food chain, you know, because he is her boss, and so she should be respecting him, you know, she should show some respect, and the way that she talks about him and to him is just nonsensical to me. I'm just like, there's no way an intern would act that way towards her boss, especially at a big PR firm. I just feel like it does not make sense. It's so unrealistic. There's no way that like they would act that way if it were real people. But I am having a blast reading it. I have been laughing nonstop reading this because our main character is super hilarious and she puts herself into the worst situations. At one point I was like crying because I was laughing so much, so like that tells you how much fun I'm having reading this. Yes, their work relationship is really inappropriate, but it is a nice build up to like the actual like real relationship that these two characters have. This is the epitome like the grumpy sunshine relationship. If this is something that you're looking for, like the grumpy sunshine thing, read this. So I think today we're going to try to finish this. It's totally feasible, and then maybe I'll even watch another Christmas movie afterwards, because I'll be honest, watching that first Christmas movie, and I think I've showed you guys, but it snowed today. We haven't had snow in November. Like usually we get snow pretty early on, and like in November we got snow at the beginning of the month, but then it melted, and it's been pretty hot and like not really Christmassy ever since. And to me, Christmas means snow. I live in Quebec and we've always had white Christmases. If there's no snow, it's not Christmas in my heart. So I'm really happy that we have snow, and now I'm in a mood to watch some Christmas movies and just like snuggle up in my bed and read some Christmassy books. And I'm in a mood for Christmas now, which is perfect because it's the last day of this readathon. It's 4:36 and I did it! I have finished reading Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd, which means that we have another bingo under our belt. I love this, you guys. I am going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars simply because I feel like this book was overly dramatic sometimes, and as I've mentioned at the beginning, I felt like the relationship between the two main characters was a little bit unrealistic. But other than that, I had such a fun time reading it. It also took like a, I guess, darker tone in the second half of the book, but it made sense with the story. And I want to say, if you guys are triggered by sexual assault, please proceed with caution with this book because there are mentions of sexual assault in this. What I really liked about this though is that the author put a trigger warning at the beginning of the book, and I can really appreciate those. I wish more authors did that because it should be something that happens in 2020. I mean, anyway, I loved it so much. I had such a blast reading it, and yes, it tended to be overly dramatic, especially in the second half of the book, but it was still a fun time. I had such a great time reading it. It just puts a smile on my face. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a sweet romance that happens like in New York City, office setting, Christmas vibes all around. It was just perfect. I loved it. Thank you so much to Megan for gifting this to me, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it, but she's the one who gave it to me, and I'm so happy that she did because I loved it so much. I will link her channel down below if you guys want to check her out. You definitely should. Now, we still have a couple of hours left before the readathon is over, and I was thinking I could try to undertake the book that is under 250 pages. I was initially going to read Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily, which is not what I thought it would be, but I feel like it's a little bit long. I don't know if I would finish it tonight. The book is under 250 pages, but I want to read something that is like even shorter than that if possible, and I don't have anything on my physical TBR that fits that, but I realized, like I remembered that I do have like a couple of ebooks downloaded, so I think I'm going to go with Special Delivery by Lauren Blakely. So it is, I'm not too sure, like I think it's a like forbidden romance situation. I was going to keep it for Smonathon, which I'm participating in later on this month, but why not read it now? I mean, we have time. It's supposed to take like an hour or two to read. It's 88 pages, so it's going to be perfect. I can read this tonight and we can have another bingo under our belt. Okay, so it's now about 6:30 p.m. I've had dinner and everything. I've been editing this vlog for a bit because I wanted to get a head start on that. But now I am ready to dive into Special Delivery, so let's dive into our book. Okay, so we're now like an hour later. It's about 7:45 and I have finished Special Delivery by Lauren Blakely and I hated it. I think I'm going to give it a 1 star, which sucks to end this readathon on such a like sad note. But to be honest, this book had everything that I don't like about like happily ever afters. You know how when I talked about Christina Lauren's In the Holidays and I mentioned like the happily ever after, like I don't mind happily ever afters, but I don't feel like they need to include like getting married and having babies and all of that, and this one had all of the above. So like obviously if you guys don't like unexpected pregnancies, I know this is kind of like a spoiler, but I don't even care, because if I had known that this book featured an unexpected pregnancy, I wouldn't have read it. I just didn't really vibe with this book. Like I didn't love the characters, I didn't love the writing. To be honest, it felt very bland and cookie cutter and just basic overall. Like there's nothing about this book that appealed to me, like not the writing, not the sex scenes, not the characters, not anything. This is unfortunate. I hate saying that I hated something, but at the same time, like this is just how it was. I am happy that I completed another bingo though. So we have completed 3 bingos over the course of this readathon, if I am not mistaken. I will put the bingo board right here so you can see the final result. But I guess that's it for this readathon. I don't think I will pick up anything else in the next couple of hours. I actually think I will just head into editing this vlog that you're watching. So I wanted to thank both of the hosts, so Heather and Amy. Thank you so much for hosting this, because I had such a blast and it put me in such a festive and Christmas spirit, so I am really happy about that. As I've mentioned before, I will leave the links to both of their channels down below if you guys want to check them out. But I guess that's it for this video. If you guys also participated in this Tistheseasonathon, I would love to know how you did, so let me know what you read and if you did the bingo board or the prompts and how you performed overall. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give this a big thumbs up. That really helps out my channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I have so many Christmassy videos planned for December and you won't want to miss them. And I guess that's it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!